larger than life. He'll give you strife. He's Todd. He's tall, he's mean, he's a labeling machine. He's Todd. Rides a motorbike, he'll tell you what it's like. He's Todd. Don't know what he'll say, he'll scare the kids away. He's Todd. He's Todd.
Hey, welcome back to some live shizzy. So thanks for coming back. A couple of things. We went to BICSI, obviously, and that's what today's show is about. It's kind of a recap with some industry experts. I'm not including myself in there, but we'll introduce these guys here in a little bit. But we did a couple of, we did a 2-hour show at BICSI. Had a lot of people on there. And Kate broke them up into part 1 and part 2. And, part 1, we got a couple thousand views. All right. So if you haven't seen it, go to my YouTube channel, check that out. Part 2 is climbing. We got a couple hundred views right now. That's climbing. Had some really, really good interviews and insights about BICSI in the industry. And then we're going to kind of continue that today. And so one of the reasons why we didn't do a show last week is I did it again. I went back in under the knife. Third back surgery, and yes, back surgeries. Don't when I say surgery, I know you twisted SOBs out there, but anyway, third back surgery. They actually sliced me open 5 different places, and so I was already telling our guest on the phone or on the web today, or the phone, whatever I'm on. If I start drooling, that's pretty normal. PJ said that's normal. But if my eyes start rolling up in the back of my head and all of a sudden I disappear from camera, you'll know why. So it's happy time. And I want to thank my wife for coming in to prop me up on this chair. So I appreciate that. But anyway, going on with BICSI. So, we all the panelists, guests today, have been involved in the industry for, well, you'll see just how old we all are collectively. There's 300 or 400 years combined industry experience on this webcast today. And so we've all been involved in BICSI in one way or the other. All right. And so I think I picked the best of all worlds out there. All right. And we're going to talk a little bit about their experience based upon kind of what they do in the industry. All right. And so if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, put them up on the screen as you always do. I always get the goofy ass comments up there, and that's fine too. None yet, I'm surprised. All right. We're just going to talk a little bit of industry. And then if you want to reach out to them individually after the show, I'm going to have their, Kate is going to have their contact information after the show. So, for myself, and I'll just get this out of the way. I had a great time at BICSI. It's always a good time. Not only, so I'm from an areage coverage. I cover everything really west of the Mississippi. And so it's kind of the same crowd in Vegas. And I don't generally get to see the East Coast folks out there. And so I've been going back out there for a few years now. And it's great to connect with some new people and introduce them to Brother Labeling. And the past couple episodes we've done out there at BS with Todd have been very, very successful. So anyway, this is regarding last BICSI in Tampa. And so anyway, that's enough about me, I think. So let's go ahead and let's just Kate, turn on the switches. let's put them on. All right. So in no particular order. In fact, you know what? What the hell? I'll just read it off my screen here. Yeah, I'm slurring already, aren't I? Oh, this is gonna be fun. So we got to PJ Johnson, Patrick Johnson. Patrick is one of my brother reps. He hails out of Arizona. He covers a couple different states for me. Does a fantastic job with the brother line. So I want to thank you personally, PJ, for not only repping brother but for being on the show. Then we got Mr. Pete DeLaurier. Again, I've known Pete for many years, and you know, I see him at BICSI and all the other regional shows I go to, and we'll get his perspective from the manufacturer side. And then again, all of us have been there forever, so we can kind of give our 2 cents of, you know, Mr. Chuck Bowser, all right, and everyone knows Chuck. Everyone knows Chuck, all right, and Chuck has got his own webcast and podcast, and let's talk cabling. Am I correct there, Chuck?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'll be damned. All right. And then bottom left-hand corner, Mr. Tom Jallo. Tom Jallo, a very good friend of mine. We've had a collaboration in the past. We're going to talk a little bit about the new collaboration. And then a very good friend of mine in the bottom right-hand corner, Mr. Glibert Romo. And this is actually a first for me. And Gilbert's going to talk about a couple other firsts that he experienced at BICSI, one of which he sat down with me for the first time behind the camera. And as you can see, he's still not right in the head after that. We'll talk a little bit about that. And again, gentlemen, this is just about kind of our experiences. And, you know, PG, I want to start with you because obviously you've been in this. I made a joke earlier, you know, Pete, Patrick, you've been, you know, repping products since IBM Type A cable, right? And so you've had lines come and go and go and come, and you know, I'm sure glad I have you. But from your perspective, as far as a manufacturer representative, and again, you've been to just as many or 10 times as many BICSIs at your age as I've been to. What couple of takeaways did you have from your experience out there, my friend?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me on the show, and it's what an amazing cast, as Bruce said, first round draft picks all the way around. Maybe 20 years ago, but still first round draft picks. We have the privilege, as you said, of representing you guys. Also, FiberFox on here. IES is one of our strongest partners, and the other folks on here as well are great partners of ours. We've had the good fortune of going to BICSI, me personally, since 1994, when I was asked to go over to the DoubleTree over on Scottsdale Road with 10 different tables there in the back, and quite a few of the characters are no longer with us. That was an interesting show. And again, not wholly different than how BICSI was started at a kitchen table, as I'm told. So it's nice to see where it's evolved to. It's nice to see it recovering from the COVID experience that we all had, right, where we couldn't get together like that. So it was nice to get everybody back together again. It's always nice to see the new trends and innovations, see what our partners are doing. IES in the Skills Challenge has helped BICSI take that to a whole nother level. That's really exciting. Again, some of the other technologies, you know, we represent FiberFox. It's nice to see what the other connector companies are doing out there so that we can adjust our offering to that. So those are all things that we learn and gain from every time that we're there.
Well, thanks for stealing Gilbert's thunder right off the bat. You know,
All right.
but you know what? We'll get to that, Gilbert, in a minute here. But speaking of FiberFox, all right, we might as well move on to Mr. Pete. And obviously, we share PJ in a good way. You know, we use them, we abuse them, we count on these rep firms to be out there. And I mean, there's only so far you can stretch. 323 pounds. Can you believe that? I've gained 21 pounds since my first surgery. But anyway, there's only so far you can spread 300 and whatever I said last time. And so, you know, PJ, you do a great job for me. Peter, go ahead. It's uncensored. You can tell them whatever you want about PJ, but nonetheless, from your perspective, from a manufacturer's perspective, Pete, I want to get your take, and then obviously, maybe because you've dealt with a few rep firms like I have, maybe talk a little bit about the importance of rep firms and what they do for us.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on again. I always enjoy being a part of your show. It's a lot of fun, and really glad to see you're on the mend, even though you're maybe over medicating yourself. But I really am. You're a valuable tool to this industry, Todd. So thank you very much again for having us on, and especially during your recovery time.
Well, thank you very little. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. From a manufacturer, I will say, so I've been going to BICSI for some time, not quite as long as PJ. PJ wears his hair better than I do, but I've been going probably since about 2008 consistently. And yeah, it's been a tough couple of years. Obviously, it's important that we stay in front of the industry, that we stay in front of these trade shows and make sure we're there to support them. But it was tough coming right out of the gate when we were able to kind of come back together. I know I remember bumping into Todd. I think it was in Orlando. There were 50 vendors. It was really just an abysmal showing. And this last one almost felt like we were back to normal. Traffic volume was really high, and it was it's really refreshing now to come back in, because as PJ mentioned, you get to see the newer technologies. I've made new contacts, new relationships, and really kind of rekindled some old relationships. It was good to see Glibert down there, Chuck, Tom. You and I have been seeing each other, but we have never formally met. I'll introduce myself next time, I promise.
Well, Tom meet Pete, Pete meet Tom. There you go.
But,
Howdy,
Pete. Good, thanks. So the importance of rep firms are extremely, to a manufacturer, are critical, in my opinion, to the success of a product in the industry. It broadens our reach, and each rep has their specific territories that they have the very strong relationships within those footprints. PJ and I just basically started to work together last July. Had a little bit of a rough start, but I got to tell you, once I got past it, I could truly see the value in PJ's team, and PJ kind of re-engaged with us, and we're doing great things in his footprint. But throughout the country, I've got some amazing representation and, tier one individuals that are on the street. And again, it's been I love this industry. I've been in it for 33 years, and every year is better than the last. So,
well, obviously, PJ, you owe me $20.
We're an acquired taste.
Well, no, Pete, I appreciate that, and again, I share kind of what you said, is that it's good to see it coming back. I think if we all keep doing what we're doing, right, and I'll talk a little bit more to Gil on this in a little bit, but I think if we keep doing what we do as far as spreading the word and really promoting this industry, that helps us all, including our friends at BICSI. Mm-hmm. I did notice some new folks this year, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Chucky, you're up. And so Chuck has been a guest on my show many times. You know what? I got to say, I love your props in the background, Chuck. I see.
Oh, the books, the BICSI books. Yeah, they're great, aren't they?
The yellow, the big orange yellow book back there. Yeah. No, Chuck has been a big supporter of this show, and I hope that he could say the same about well, I'm just big all the way around, regardless. And so we've gone back and forth on each other's shows about the importance of, labeling and one and done and everything else that's regarding 606 standards.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you, my friend, you're out there training. You include our labeling in how you train and what you train and the standards and everything else. So from an RCDD standpoint, all right, I want to get your take. And again, you've been going there a long time, and you've been doing different things, as we all have been in the industry. But from an RCDD going in, all right, what's your take?
Well, before I start, I want to know why I didn't see any P-Touch labels on those pill bottles. What's up with that? I got labels. Well, my wife's even using your labels for the chicken coop stuff now.
I'll tell you why, because I already got a text from Bruce saying he's calling HR. Todd is, I can't say this word. Todd is eliciting illegal pills on a brother platform. So because of that, I'm not going to use any of my labels on these pill bottles. So anyway, there's your answer to that. But actually, you know what? We do quite a bit in pharmaceuticals, believe it or not. We're real big into pot. I'm not including myself in saying we, but I'm just saying in the cannabis industry, we do quite a bit. And we're in pharmaceuticals, and so really anything that needs a label, we're going to be on it, except for those. But thanks for asking, though. But anyway, let's get back to the subject.
Before I get started, I just want to say, hey, I'm going to keep you on my prayer list for quick healing, my friend, because even though a lot of people could really consider you and I competition in the social media space, I don't. We are complementary to each other, and I never miss your show. I always go on and watch them. I may not watch them live necessarily because I might be teaching a class, but I always make sure I catch the recorded and stuff as well. So I
appreciate it, and I don't look at us as competitors either. Although I do have more hair than you do, so
I keep mine cut tighter than yours. That's the only difference. I got hair up here too, just cut tight. Low drag, but
you know what? It's always friendly with us, and it's always about the industry. And again, from you had the opportunity to walk the show just about every day out there, and see some of the newbies, right? The FNGs and some of the other folks out there. So, what was your take? And what is your take about advancing your education into the RCDD world?
How much time do we have for the show?
I'm sorry?
How much time do we have for the show? Really? So I've been going to the BICSI conference since 2000. I got my RCDD like the tail end of 1999 or early 2000, I think. Can't remember exactly when. Been going to conferences since then. And everybody probably remembers the heydays, where the manufacturers were throwing some pretty wild parties and doing some pretty, let's just say, some far out there stuff. and then the fire kind of, I see people laughing. So I was the guy who always went to the trainings. I never went to that stuff, but I always heard the stories. And they always say what happens at BICSI stays at BICSI. Right?
There were trainings?
Yes, there were trainings.
Okay.
And so then it kind of dwindled a little bit, mostly because of COVID. But now, this, like everybody else said so far, this was almost reminiscent of the heyday ones, because there were several manufacturers doing stuff afterwards. Great way to network. And there was a hunger for people just to see each other and shake each other's hands and say, hey, it's good to see you again, instead of doing this stupid virtual Zoom calls, just to shake somebody's hand and stuff. The educational content, absolutely top notch. BICSI has always done a great job with that. Absolutely has done a great job. I even went so far this year, and I paid for the Monday trainings. I can't remember what they called them, the master classes. So I did those as well. Light Brigade and a bunch of other people, top notch stuff. And the reason I picked the Orlando show, not the Orlando, the Florida show to go to is in Tampa, obviously, is because that's when all the new products come out. And that's where I get to meet everybody, all the manufacturer stuff. And to me, the three best things, and I did TikToks on these too. The three best things was the STI had a fire stop system that you can put over an existing sleeve. So when I look at new products, what problem does this solve? Is this just a manufacturer just creating something so they can put another product on their shelf, or does this actually solve something? And so that's why I picked those three products, right? So STI has a great product that goes over existing sleeves where you don't have to cut anything, right? Invent has these new clips that you can put on Unistrut. If you've ever dealt with Unistrut and those little spring nut things, they always fall off. So they got these two new things where you just put them on and you literally just slide the rod in, boom. I was like, dude, where were you 20 years ago when I was an installer? and then another one too, and this one got the platinum award from me. Lebanon came out with a patch panel that you actually terminate in front of it and you push it back in. Now the benefit here is, and I'm not saying this because of my day job, the benefit here is because I see a lot of technicians moving to systems without horizontal wire managers. So they'll put a patch panel, then a switch, and a patch panel, and a switch, and they do like short patch cords. Well, as a service tech, I hated that kind of environment because you can't get in there to service anything between the switches. But now that since you can pull the jack out the front, the re-terminate, retest it, put it back in, I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I always go for the new products and stuff. And there was a lot of them there. And I even stopped by the IES booth and said hi to them as well and stuff. And I even missed some stuff. I had unfortunately, I wasn't at the conference on Tuesday. My wife had some health issues, so I was there with her. But I was there the Monday, Wednesday, and stuff. But a lot of new stuff. I love going there because I get hit with questions all week long. You know, hey Chuck, what about the RCD? Like we just got this one here. Why don't we see more RCDs and BICSI techs in the transportation intelligent transport system? Well, the ITS system, the intelligent transport system, they're starting to get some popularity there. The transportation system there's always been a big disconnect between us and the transportation, but with the advent of traffic monitoring and stuff like that, and now they're running fiber out these cables, they're where we were 20 years ago. They're just starting to realize, hey, you can't just hire Joe Schmo in the back of their Biscayne station wagon. There's an ageism for you, right? You need somebody who's actually certified, qualified, and ready to do not what the code requires, but the best practices required, right? So there's gaining some popularity there, and I think there's more work that can be done. But the information transport stuff, absolutely, it's gaining more traction. Look at the intelligent building stuff. Look at the power over Ethernet. When I was at this show, I stopped by POE Texas. Oh my God, they had so much stuff that could run over POE, blinds, lights, everything. I was like, oh, I came home and told my wife. She goes, okay, I want that for every window in the house. I counted all the windows. I got 26 windows in my house. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I interviewed Luke Ghetto with Volt Server, and he'd been a guest on my show. And I always try and do a little bit of homework on my guests, and I was flabbergasted. Just flabbergasted at what these guys are doing, and Luke is a great guy, and so there's definitely a shift in the industry. I mean, there's always been shifts. I mean, hell, I can remember when I worked for a living, taking out PJ's IBM Type 1, and going with a Cat 3, and then 6 months
you forget
later,
about POTS? You forget about POTS cable?
Silver satin.
Putting in Cat 4, which lasted 3 months,
3
right?
months,
and then 5, and blah 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 blah. So the cool thing about this industry is that obviously we don't all have the margins we used to. Everyone on this call can enjoy what I mean as far as the margins. So we have to do what we can to help these folks be more productive. And things like PoE and what they're coming up with PoE and some of this new security stuff and a segue into Tom Jallo here is how fast it takes to do a test. Even I can remember using his competitor, the DSP models when they first came out, and oh my God, they were the cat's meow, but they just took forever. to do it. And one guy's in one end with a walkie-talkie, and the other guy's in the other end with a walkie-talkie, and it was a necessary evil. But you look at where they are now, with the certification, and the faster and more accurate you can certify. Again, time is money. So going back to what you said, Chuck, any of these innovations that are out there, and that's the one cool thing about BICSI too, is that I always take probably more time than I should to walk the show and see what's out there, and some of it is very mind blowing. Some of it, they're just improvements on some of the products that have been around for a long time. But somebody obviously a hell of a lot smarter than I am said, okay, let's build a better mousetrap. And so anyway, Chuck, before I move on to Tom, anything else in closing?
No, I think I hit everything.
I'll be damned. That's a first. I got to mark it.
I'm just trying to keep cognizant that there's two other people who need to come on after me. I don't want to steal their thunder.
So Tom and I first met a long time ago, folks. Tom Jallo. Well, Israel's question. So Kate just yelled at me. She always does. And actually, I think Chuck actually talked about that, where he was talking about the IT business out there as far as the intelligent transportation system. So I think we got that covered, Kate. And Israel, if there's anything else, you can certainly throw it up on the screen, or afterwards, please reach out to Chuck.
Absolutely. I'd love to have Israel on the show. Have him come on. We can talk about more in depth.
So Tom and I first met a while ago, and I think I may have had one too many beers and was stumbling around BICSI, and I probably literally bumped into him by mistake. And then it came up to where we just started talking back and forth about what Softing brought to the table, what Brother has. And we came up with this amazing collaboration, absolutely amazing collaboration that saves a lot of time and money. And I'll talk about that here in just a little bit, because there's even more news to add to that. But anyway, Tom Jallo with Softing. It was great to see you and your wife. Your wife is a very lovely individual. You believe me. You know what? You're a very lucky man. Let's put it that way. You're not the best looking man out there. No. But you're a very lucky man. So you know what? It was a pleasure meeting you and your wife for dinner a couple of times. That's always fun to get together. But within your industry, and I gave you a little bit of a segue, my friend, as far as when this old fart was out there certifying things. Well, hell, even before that, with my mod tap, even before the fancy smanchy things came out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, there's one for you. I know. I'm showing my ears. Yeah, but, hey, I started in this industry when I was 9 years old, and there were no laws about that back then. But nonetheless, Tom, you've been with Softing for some time now. You obviously know your competitors very well. You're always striving to make your customer experience even better. But why don't you talk a little bit about what you've seen in the industry? Obviously, the importance of certification, one and done, get in, get the hell out, all right? Mm-hmm. But, the floor is yours, man. Take it a little, take your time.
Well, thank you for having me on, by the way, Todd. We hear it every day from technicians, project managers, RCDDs. The problem that cable testing manufacturers have is they have to deal with kind of the ugly end of technology, which is an obsolescence curve, right? And so you guys talking about those old test platforms that you grew on and you used, and you were stuck in a closet working for maybe times you didn't want to be there. There's a lot of memories and maybe some people still prefer the old tools, but the reality is that those tools have to adapt to new technologies, new standards, and stuff like that. And in the end, a manufacturer of test tools has to have some sort of philosophy about how they deal with that obsolescence. All right. And I'm very proud to work with a company that I think has one that users find very refreshing, right? In the world of certification, we manufacture full-blown tier 1 certifier, the Wire Expert 4500 and 500. And we could have, I guess, mothballed this tool years ago and decided to go with something else, but it wasn't necessary. And with effort and investment on Softing's side, we've made a tool last for many years on the market, one that's outlasted actually multiple generations of our competitors' tool and is still valid for many years to come. So I think that has a lot of value. That allows multiple generations of technicians within an organization to pick up the same tool and say, I know how to use this tool and I can teach you how to use it, right? That's a big deal. And that's something that is very powerful. So this same, I guess, old warhorse of ours has been out for several years. Internally, though, it's got a brand new processor on the inside. So it is significantly faster. It does the exact same job, and any tester you buy today will have that new processor. Likewise, if you have a tester that's in your hands that's 8, 9, 10 years old, it's still going to be supported and serviced by Softing for years to come, and that's really powerful in that space. So on this go ahead.
No, I was going to say, to me at least, because when I owned my contracting businesses in Texas, and Sam, my brother, I know my brother, he's always lurking out there, but Sam's been on my show a few times, and we co-owned a couple of contracting companies in Texas. And so, I was a tight ass. My wife will tell you still, I am a tight ass. And so, anything that I can do to use the KISS method, and to get jobs done easier. I don't care if it's any job around here or anywhere else. It's important to me, and it should be important to your users and your contractors out in the field. And so, these things, and I've seen your units, work firsthand, and I'm telling you, it's just absolutely amazing where we've come from.
Yeah.
And where we're going with this. You got a couple of new things you showed me, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, I think that we're all under the same mindset, and we'll get to Glibert in a minute as a contractor who at the end of the day uses all of the stuff we're talking about. And so I think he'll have much more to say about that. Tom, what else? What else you got? And after that, I'll talk a little bit about our collaboration, and a little bit more about what's on the horizon. So what else you got for me, my friend?
Well, with changing technologies in the handheld tester world, manufacturers are able to do more. And Softing's another kind of like design philosophy that Softing is trying to put forth is one where it's not all just about certifiers, right? Certifiers are a necessary part of everything that of every little area that is in BICSI on the floor, right? But there's also a need for other testers, a different tool, right? You don't just have one tool in the toolbox. And so when you need to go out and do a POE test, right? We have smaller tools that we've built from the ground up. So this is our Link Expert, and it's really popular right now. So this is my smartphone and a Link Expert, right? It is almost the same size. Let's see if we can get that on camera there, right? And compare that to a certifier, which is also significantly bigger. And our certifier is actually smaller than most others on the market. But this tiny little tool at around $1,000 MSRP will go out and test POE. It'll do simple wire map testing. It'll pull an IP address of a device on the network. It'll tell you what's happening at that port, okay, for managed switches. It has a lot of capabilities, tone generator built into it, even a built-in flashlight, right? And so and you know, all those capabilities, again, pocket-sized tool. And the price point here is one where technicians before wouldn't have access to this technology. Now they do. So I'm somebody, as far as like experience on and what I do at BICSI, well, for the last like 8 years, I get stuck with floor duty, I guess, right? So I'm actually in the booth talking to hundreds of customers who want to know what solutions you have. That gives you some perspective as to what changes. And granted, it's a shorter period than everybody else on this call, on this, right?
Mhm.
But that perspective is magnified for me because of how many conversations I have. This particular BICSI, a ton of tech showed up, whereas the last several during COVID, it was almost like we were seeing skeleton crews coming from organizations. We were getting everybody at the booth, and that was very encouraging to see.
It seems to be, you know, so far everyone's kind of said the same thing. You know, it's getting back to where it used to be. As far as you know, productivity, folks, if you haven't seen my interview with Tom on one of my previous episodes, go check it out. The whole idea behind what myself and Tom are working at is the ability to number one, do a database ahead of time of everything you're going to test. So when you get in the closet, everything is already there, instead of the old days having to sit there and hand type everything in. All right. So the whole idea is you do a database, you send that database to your technician, the technician gets that database on their phone, just lets them label. It's the same damn label. All right. So why not combine the two and not only take that database that is going to be downloaded into the certifier and download it into one of our printers. All right. So that collaboration has worked very well so far. Mm-hmm. I'm tickled pink. We do have a new app out. The new app actually is mind blowing what you can do with that same database that you're going to use with the software, as far as the way it's going to print onto any of our Wi-Fi or Bluetooth printers. Now, Tom has already agreed. We're going to do an April 6th show. He'll be up in Salt Lake City, but he's going to do an April 6th show. And we're going to go more into depth on this new Pro Label Tool app. And it is, I'm telling you, from a time and money saver, there really is nothing out there like this. And so I'm very proud of it. And so tune in April 6th to see more. So Tom, I want to thank you very much for your input, your insight, a little bit more about softing. It's always appreciated. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure thing.
Mr. Romo. All right.
Hello.
Yeah, so Gil and I have been, you know, bumping into each other for years and years, and you know, there's so many nice things I could say about IAS, and I will say about IAS, and I have the distinct pleasure of being asked to participate every year in one of the IAS charity golf tournaments out in Phoenix. I sincerely enjoy that. IAS is involved in many things, and they were involved for the first time. A little segue for you, but it's my understanding, Gilbert, that IAS was involved for the first time as a contractor at BICSI.
Yeah.
And the other thing is our booth, which we didn't have the best booth position this year. But we did well. We did well. Actually, Jallo, you had a great spot this year. Whereas I don't know who you're greasing, but let me know and I'll see what I can do. But nonetheless, is that I was located directly across from the cabling skills challenge, and I know that Gilbert, you had a couple of IAS technicians there. So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on board today, well, there's several reasons, but number one, talk about. You've been to many other BICSIs, but you know, maybe a couple of minutes on you being involved and actually having a presence there, a booth, if you will, and then talk about please the Cabling Skills Challenge. I know IAS is also real big into training, and you know, one of the things that we all try and do, each of us on this call, is, talk to people when we get the opportunity. Talk to these young kids. I'll give you a great example. So my son, who during COVID, his job was swabbing noses. So he'd drive up to Payson or whatever, and he'd swab noses for 15, 16 bucks an hour and go into ASU, a hell of a lot smarter than I am. And after a couple of years, I finally convinced him to get in the business. And he is now working over on the inside for Paul Norris as at Gray Bar. And so, again, it took a while to convince him, because these kids, at least some of my kids, these grandiose ideas. But you know what? At the end of the day, what we're all involved here is a career. It's a career choice is what it is. It's not just a job, because there's so much to do in the industry. But from your perspective, and I know IES does quite a bit out there in the contracting world and the integration world. So I'd like to hear a little bit about, again, what your thought was, how the cabling skills challenge went, and then your take on the industry and anyone interested in the industry, the best way to get their foot in the door.
Yeah, we're blessed to be in this industry at this time in the world. Everything that has gone on has just been amazingly rising for what we do. What hasn't happened though is, our ability to get enough people seeing that our workforce is important in putting in this infrastructure. So what we, many, many years ago invested in was that training piece to open BICSI training centers around the U.S., train our own employees, get them interested in that. And by doing that, we were hoping that, and we continue to hope, that we will draw individuals in who see our industry as a shiny object, see it as a way to fulfill their family and their own dreams and do whatever it is they want to do in their lives. So, for us, we put a lot of money into it. And thank you, BICSI, for allowing us to be the title sponsor of the Skills Challenge this year. So the IES logo was out there. We were able to discuss why we were doing it, talk about our company in a way that's more than just, hey, we need workers, come over here, we want to hire you. It's, what are you interested in? Here's what you can do in our industry. And no matter what you're doing, we can help you through training to be what you want to be. We had a couple of people who actually won divisions. We had an overall event winner in straight structured cabling, Austin Kitchens. And then we also had, which is, to me, super special, the overall event winner in the competency exams piece, Benjamin Graybill, who won that event, right? So not only, as contractors, we want to put it in quickly under budget, but we also want our people to be able to explain, teach, right? The guy next to him who may not have the experience, go through it together and learn together, right? So when we have someone who wins the competency exam, that's more than just they put it in, it looked great. It is they understand it, they're able to articulate it, and to us that's a grand slam, right? So to me, BICSI was great this year because coming out of the pandemic, we all needed to be around people, but more than that, we needed to be around people that we can continue to educate, bring into this, amazing industry, because people on my side and the contractor side, we don't manufacture things. I can't talk like Tom about this new widget that's going to do great things. His widget's going to do great things for me, but I got to get the people who can use it, right? And so, and I need those people to feel confident in and proud in what they're doing. So, Todd, that's a long way to go. But I hope it shows the passion that IES has around training people, bringing them into the industry, and making a career and a dream come true for them on whatever it is their life wants to be. So,
well, it's funny.
Well,
before our interview, and I have a very, very, very vague idea, usually of what I want to talk about. Extremely vague. And so, I had a whole different idea because Tom Emma, right? Am I correct?
Tom Emma. Yep.
Sat down with us. And, I was going to be more of IES centric and talk about, all the wonderful things you guys have done and what you have. and you'll continue to do. But, you know, at the very last second, when Kate gave me thumbs up, it completely switched gears in my mind. And I think it was watching your guys across the way at the Cabling Skills Challenge. And really, it just, it switched on a dime, and the whole interview turned into, you know, how important this industry is, and how important training is, and how to entice, you know, people into. Anyone can pull cable, for God's sakes. I started off just pulling cable. Anyone can do that. But I don't think what folks realize, and I don't care how old you are, but this is such a diverse industry. You know, I know when I first got in it, and, you know, I was out there pulling cable day in and day out. Yeah, it was a great job, paid well, but I had no idea that all of this was out there for us.
Right.
And really, the sky's the limit. And you got to start somewhere. I'm a firm believer you got to start somewhere. You know, and in most distribution partners, they'll put you on a broom in the warehouse. Well, there's a reason why they do that. You know, and you got to start somewhere. You got to learn the industry. But, you know, my God, there's just so much to do within this industry. And, you know, IAS is just a shining example of opening those eyes to those career-minded people, not the job-minded people, but the career-minded people. And the way that IAS goes about the training regiment to basically cover everything there is, or essentially what you can out there. So my hat's off to you guys and to IAS and the way that you go to market. Obviously, you know, your core is design, build, install, and all the above. But there's so much other stuff you guys do, and it is very much appreciated. I believe, in fact, I know by everyone on this call today, and everyone watching and listening, or even watching this down the road. But you guys do just a bang up job with that. So, with that being said, I mean, are you looking forward to? I mean, do you have more BICSI appearances planned down the road, or?
Yeah, we will continue the skills challenge. If we can be the title sponsor forever, we're going to try to accomplish that, because I think it's something we completely believe in. You know, when you start getting into thousands of employees that are out in the field working for the biggest names in the industry, we want to give a customer experience that's different than any other contractor. To do that, we have to have people who understand why and how they are going to install. Work with partners like yourselves who bring products to bear that allow us to do it faster, more efficiently, and better for the customer. So when we keep trying to tie that loop together, there's always going to be something for us to do at BICSI. BICSI's been so good to us to allow us to, you know, play the role we play, you know, speak the way we speak about them, because I know they speak the same about us. And as long as we, you know, we do what we're supposed to do, I think we're going to have a long future. You know, we use synonymous, you know, this word, brother, right? We used to be, hey buddy, but now now it's brother. Okay, so brother we use as that word to bring us all together, to make us feel like we're close. No coincidence that's the company that you support, right? That's not a coincidence. I think putting those together is important.
Well, sure it is. You know, Brother's motto is, you know, at your side. You know, and that's been their motto for a long time. And I think that goes back to what you're saying as far as just, you know, being right there, you know, whenever needed, and being close, you know.
Yeah.
So any other takes you got for me, my friend?
I got one last one. You know, I have always had a dream. I wanted to be on yours and Chuck's podcast and I got them both done in one day.
No, this is not my podcast. This is Todd's podcast. Hey. So you got to come on my show now.
I threw one big rock and it hit two birds. So I'm good.
Listen.
I'm gonna sleep like a baby tonight, because I got that done, and I know your audiences are big in our industry. The work that you two put in is important, and I really appreciate being here today.
Well,
I appreciate that, but I want to say something too, Gilbert. I mean,
yeah.
I've been familiar with your company for a long time, and there are very few contractors that I label platinum contractors. And by platinum contractor, I mean they don't just say, "Oh yeah, we've got a training program. We'll have somebody come train once."
Right.
No, you guys live and breathe training, and
Yeah.
you're making a huge impact in this industry. And I'm telling you what, for everybody else who wants to be successful, follow IES's model. They don't just talk the talk; they walk the walk.
Yeah,
So
it's part of our
obviously,
culture.
You
Right.
got to segue into Gilbert's new show, BS with Gilbert.
I
But
feel
no,
like
no,
that one's been trademarked.
I sincerely appreciate the accolades, and I've been trying to get you on here for some time because I think that the contracting side of the industry is at the end of the day, that's why we're all here. Every single one of us on this call is here because of the contracting side of the business.
Yeah.
And so you are a first for Brother, having the first contractor on board. I look forward to more shows, and I'm all about training and the industry. And so one of these times I'm going to nail you down for a one-on-one.
You know me, I got lots to say on lots of things. So
Okay.
if it's gonna be a live episode, it might be a 24-hour episode. But we'll get it done.
Well, the record so far is 2, and don't challenge me, buddy, because I can go on and on and on and on and on forever. But anyway, all right. So we're a little bit past time, and Israel, I want to thank you. Israel's also an RCDD, and Israel had a good time on the show today. A lot of comments there. But any last thoughts, I guess, from any of the panel? PJ, Pete, Chuck, Tom, Gilbert. Any last doozies you want to throw in there before we bid adieu?
I can't leave without a commercial, right? If you're looking for a career, you need something, you need a place to go, you're not fulfilled in what you're doing today and would love to be trained as a tradesman in our industry, www.iescomm.com under careers. That's all I got. Thank you, Todd.
And let me add on to that because
Because
I'm plugged into low voltage nation tech knowledge. I'm talking to technicians all the time, and people go there first because they want to know how do I get in that industry? How do I get in that industry? I'm not an expert. Nobody's an expert. I've been in this industry for 40 years. I'm not an expert. But I tell people all the time, look, if you can show up on time, if you can be consistent, if you can be reliable, those are big steps. Most companies will train you. And all you do is just hook up with like an IES or somebody that values that training. You will go a long ways in this industry.
So you got Chuck you got Gilbert and Chuck as some resources, folks out there that are just kind of getting into this. In fact, my son just chimed in. He's a new kid on the block. And he can probably attest to he's had a great time so far. So again,
that's awesome.
From a resource standpoint, you couldn't get two of the best resources out there in Chuck and Gilbert. Pete, love you, line, love you.
Thank you.
Anything in closing, my friend?
Again, if you're looking for a quality fusion splicer, FiberFox America is fully supported here domestically in North America. We've got a full line of fiber optic fusion splicers, www.fiberfoxamerica.com. We fully support our product. Where we excel is after the sale and support to the ground level technician up. So really look forward to our next interaction, Todd. Again, look forward to seeing everybody here on the panel at the next BICSI. And have a great week, everybody. And I'll let PJ take it from there.
Well, speaking of PJ, if you're interested in here's my shameful plug. All right, of course, right, brother. If you need to put a sticker on something, as PJ calls them stickers, he does that to piss me off. But if it needs a label, see PJ. You know, he represents the best labeling manufacturer out there. He happens to work with the absolute best, principal that's out there. Sorry, Pete.
Bruce and Jamie are awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, PJ also represents FiberFox, and so if you got any questions there, PJ, any last zingers?
Not really. But again, I liked Gilbert's play on the brother name because he's not wrong. We are definitely brothers in arms. It's an interesting industry, and
well, and it's getting more interestingly. Hey, Jallo, what you got, man?
Oh, I hate that I'm the last one. I don't know if I can say anything that would be a good or not just a disappointment, I guess, on as far as anticlimactic measurements. But I had a great time at the show. I am the biggest thing. Like I said, we had techs at the booth. The last several ones we didn't, and to me, that's the indicator that the foot is on the gas pedal in the industry, and I couldn't have come soon enough, and that's fantastic. I look forward to doing business as usual. I look forward to not having any excuses about why we can't interact, and I look forward to the industry and technology growing, and it's a good thing. I was glad to be there, and I look forward to many more.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have each and every one of you on the show. I want to thank you again. Accolades to each of what you bring to the table. All right. And I think that's going to be a wrap. Kate, if we can, let's go ahead and let's show. Let's see. I can't post. So go to if you need to get. We're actually. So Kate can't post your website for some reason, but yeah, let's go and we'll give PJ. What's your web address?
Ironwood reps.com.
There you go.
IRONWOOD.reps.com.
Okay.
Lots of links and videos and fun things like that.
All right. So for some reason the Kate, it wasn't allowing Kate to do that. But anyway, so folks, here's the contact information on the screen for each one of my very distinguished guests today. So if you got any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to them. If you need some bad advice, please always reach out to me. Or anything labeling related, please reach out to me. As far as future shows, or wait a minute, I think we're going to pimp my YouTube channel. There we go. BS with Todd. No, Tom. So, okay. So you're already on board. So April 6th. Yeah. Oh my God. We're going to have Tom again. And then don't miss that show on the 23rd. We got some inspirational speakers coming on board, and these guys are fan-freaking-tastic. All right. So don't forget those next two shows. So Kate, what else you got before I say goodbye? So we got the famous QR code, 17,000. I can just remember a couple of months ago groveling to get to 2,000 or 3,000 people on this YouTube channel.
Let's go.
Yeah, 17 grand. And again, it's all industry related, and so hey, whatever Grandpa says, if it works, don't fix it. So however the hell it's working, it's working. Yep. But if you're not part of the YouTube channel, get on the YouTube channel. There's so much information out there, and all of the past episodes, including this one, will be up there very shortly. And so with that being said, you guys stick around for just a minute after Kate turns the camera off. But I want to thank each and everybody. We went over by a half an hour, but who gives a crap? It's my show. All right. And, we can typically do this in a half an hour, but, it was worth every extra minute to have you guys on board today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Kate, thank you. Don't forget to turn in, turn out, whatever. I'm going to go turn out here in just a second.
Hey, and God bless you, and may your health continue to be good.
Oh, thank you very much,
Like
my
Gilbert
friend.
said,
Thank you very
his
much,
lips
my
to
friend.
God's ears.
Yeah, thank you very much. Kate, thank you again. Kate's always in the background. My number one fan and supporter. Oh, wait, do we want to show the rest of the brother guys, or does everyone their information, Kate, or does everyone pretty much know that?
He just did.
She
She
did?
did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Say goodnight, Todd.
Good night, Todd.
Good night, Todd.
All right,
Bye,
stick-
everybody.
Stick around a minute. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Oh, shit.